An ancient prophecy in the book of Daniel describes the rise and fall of empires centuries before they existed. How did it know? Every civilization believed it would last forever. The Egyptians built monuments meant to outlive time itself. Rome ruled the known world for centuries. The British Empire controlled nearly a quarter of the planet by 1922. Its leaders convinced history had reached its final chapter. Every one of them was wrong. Today, one nation sits at the center of the world. Its military spans continents, its currency dictates global markets. For 600 years, Rome looked unstoppable, its legions marching from Britannia to Syria. But here's the strange part: if Rome seemed so eternal, so invincible, why did it disappear, leaving only ruins and echoes? What makes an empire, any empire, vanish from the map? The fall of Rome, the decline of the New Kingdom of Egypt around 1070 BCE, the sudden collapse of the Persian Achaemenid Empire after Alexander in 330 BCE, they all seem like unique historical events, distinct in their causes. You might think each had its own specific barbarians, its own unique plague. But wait. When historians like Arnold J. Toynbee meticulously charted 26 major civilizations, something unnerving began to appear. Across thousands of years, from the Maya cities abandoned in 900 CE to the British Empire dissolving after 1945, the story was eerily similar. Not of invaders, but of internal decay. What if these wasn't just individual failures, but an echo, repeating over and over again? Almost every civilization begins collapsing long before anyone notices. It's not a sudden barbarian invasion that topples the walls overnight. For ancient Rome, scholars now point to the 3rd century crisis, a period of internal strife and economic chaos from 235 to 284 CE, centuries before the final political fall in 476 CE. The external threats only exploited a weakness that was already there. Researchers missed one critical detail: the outward displays of power often mask an accelerating internal decay. You see opulent architecture, vast armies, thriving trade. But underneath, a society can be fracturing. The question is, what are the first, subtle cracks that indicate a civilization is already doomed? Historians like Sir John Blubb, studying cultures from the Assyrians to the British, identified a repeating, 7-stage blueprint for civilizational decline. It begins with an age of prosperity, leading to luxury. Then comes political division, as internal factions fight for power. Next, debt accumulates, often from overexpansion or social programs. This erodes loss of trust in institutions. Followed by overexpansion, stretching resources and military reach. Finally, decline sets in, a slow, inevitable decay. For example, the Roman Empire's vast public spending, famously under emperors like Nero in the 1st century CE, spiraled into inflation and debt. But here's the strange part: this isn't just an ancient story. Does any modern nation look familiar when you trace these exact steps? Consider the sheer scale of modern global influence. America's military budget in 2023 exceeded $800 billion, more than the next 10 countries combined. The US dollar remains the world's primary reserve currency, influencing every major financial transaction. Hollywood shapes global culture, while Silicon Valley innovates AI and the Internet. Its universities attract the brightest minds globally. On paper, America appears stronger than Rome ever was at its zenith, commanding a technological and economic might unimaginable to any ancient emperor. But wait. This unprecedented power might actually be hiding something. What if the very definition of strength has changed? Beneath the surface of technological supremacy, the cracks of the blueprint are becoming visible. America's national debt exceeded $34 trillion in 2024, a figure unprecedented in human history, reminiscent of Rome's inflationary spirals. Political polarization has led to unprecedented gridlock, with a Pew Research study in 2023 showing 72% of Americans believe their country is more divided than in the past. Manufacturing has shifted overseas, creating domestic economic precarity. Institutional trust, from government to media, sits at historic lows. What nobody expected, these aren't external attacks, but internal erosions, eerily similar to the patterns that preceded the decline of ancient empires. But here's where the pattern breaks. America possesses something no empire before it ever had. What could possibly alter a pattern thousands of years old? No prior civilization could communicate across the globe in milliseconds, or hold the power to end life on Earth in an instant. America's technological arsenal, from nuclear weapons to global satellite networks and the emerging frontier of artificial intelligence, represents an anomaly that previous empires simply lacked. Could AI, for instance, predict and prevent economic crashes, or even manage political divisions by optimizing information flows? What nobody expected, this isn't just better tools, it's a fundamental shift in humanity's control over its own destiny. But does technology truly offer an escape from human nature, or does it merely amplify the same ancient flaws at an unprecedented scale? But what if the repeating pattern isn't just history, but something far older? In the ancient book of Daniel, a vivid prophecy describes a colossal statue, symbolizing a sequence of great empires: a head of gold, chest of silver, belly of bronze, legs of iron, and feet of mixed iron and clay. Many religious traditions interpret this as predicting successive world powers, each declining in strength and purity. What nobody expected, these aren't just allegories, they outline a trajectory of increasing fragmentation, perfectly mirroring the historical progression from unified empires to diverse, often conflicting, nations. This isn't predicting specific countries, but perhaps predicting recurring human behavior. Could our decline be woven into the very fabric of existence, a spiritual blueprint for all human endeavor? The national debt isn't just a number, it's a future burden, a mortgage on every citizen's potential. The United States now adds over $1 trillion to its debt every 100 days. This isn't just about fiscal policy, it underpins the political division, the social programs that strain resources, and the very trust in institutions. Dr. Carmen Reinhart, a Harvard economist, famously documented how excessive government debt repeatedly correlates with financial crises and slower growth across centuries. What nobody expected, in historical collapses, external enemies often merely pick the bones of an already financially ruined society. But here's the truly strange part: this time, we might be the architects of our own financial ruin, with no external threat needed. What happens when the weight of that debt finally makes the whole structure buckle? Societies, especially diverse ones, thrive on a bedrock of shared trust. Trust in elections, trust in the justice system, trust in expertise. When that trust erodes, political division becomes unbridgeable, and social cohesion unravels. The Edelman Trust Barometer, a global survey, has consistently shown declining trust in major institutions worldwide, with significant dips in the United States since 2016. In ancient Rome, the widespread corruption of officials like Verres, famously prosecuted by Cicero in 70 BCE, systematically destroyed public faith in the Republic. What nobody expected, this isn't just about differing opinions. It's about a foundational collapse in the very idea of shared truth. When you can no longer agree on facts, how can you ever agree on a future? Every empire believed its innovations, its unique culture, its divine favor, made it immune to history. The Ming Dynasty, at its height in the 15th century, believed its grand fleets and vast wealth ensured eternal preeminence. Britain, in the Victorian era, saw its industrial might as an unshakable foundation. but every single one became history. Now, America stands at this precipice. Does its unprecedented technological prowess, the AI, the global communication, the sheer data, provide a genuine escape? Or does it simply accelerate the inevitable stages of decline? What nobody expected, the answer might not be in what new tools we invent, but in whether we can finally overcome the ancient flaws of human nature itself. Will America be the first civilization to truly learn from the past, or simply the latest entry in history's longest, most tragic ledger? Perhaps the real question isn't whether America will fall. It's about why we keep asking that question in the first place. Every empire, every civilization, believed it was special, unique, immune. They projected their certainties onto the future, unable to see the patterns emerging from within. The Roman Emperor Marcus Aurelius once mused, "What is not good for the beehive cannot be good for the bee." But we, the individual bees, often refuse to see the health of the hive, blinded by our own comforts, our own divisions. The past isn't just a record of events, it's a mirror. It shows us that the story of civilizations isn't a predestined path, but a sum of collective choices. It was never about them or us. It was always about the choices we make.